The frequency of building collapse in Nigeria has been a recurring issue, with numerous incidents reported in recent years.
Well, one question, Ademola, that is usually asked is when there is a building collapse is what are the causes and why the frequency?
Certainly, Victor, some attribute it to poor construction materials and techniques, as well as inadequate building regulation and enforcement. Others link the trend to corrupt practices such as cutting corners with building specifications.
Well, building collapse has a long drawn history in Nigeria. For instance, in 2014, the popular synagogue church building collapsed in Lagos with 116 deaths recorded. In 2016, a 3-story building collapsed in Lagos with 3 deaths. In 2019, a 4-story building collapsed also in Lagos, killing 10 persons.
That's true, Victor. And in 2020, the collapse of a 3-story building in Ibadan led to 5 deaths. In fact, we can go on and on and on and on. Between January and July this year, there have been at least 22 cases of building collapse with casualties.
And the loss of lives and injuries, as well as destruction arising from the spate of building collapse, constitutes huge economic loss that leads to displacement of families and businesses.
Government on its part has responded in many ways to the issue of building collapse, like instituting the National Building Code, creation of Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, strengthening of building regulations and enforcement agencies.
And that's not all. Government has also increased funding for building inspection and monitoring, as well as public awareness campaigns on building safety.
Despite these efforts, buildings continue to collapse, highlighting the need for sustained action to address the root causes and ensure public safety. Today, we focus on an issue that is claiming lives, destroying livelihoods, and shaking public trust: the spate of building collapse across the country.
What's behind this spate of building collapse? Is it corruption, negligence, or a systemic failure of regulation and enforcement? How can we ensure that the buildings we live, work, and engage in other activities in are safe and secure?
Victor, those are big questions. And well, we hear from our experts and policymakers as we examine the steps being taken to prevent future tragedies. It is critical conversation that could save lives and shape the future of Nigeria's construction sector. Welcome to the program. I am Ademola Adeoye.
And that's not all, Ademola. We have a second topic on the program which borders on strengthening state contract negotiations with multinationals. You know, that is the kind of contracts that states can go in to with multinationals. Well, I join Ademola in welcoming you to the program. We are reaching you on the network service of the NTA. Soon enough, we'll have Chukwudi Okoli-Ubaja join us to do the newspaper review. Well, for now, we get highlights of the morning news from Olajide Bello. Good morning, Olajide.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Ademola. Good morning, Nigeria. And here is the morning news. Vice President Kashim Shettima has appealed for more cooperation between Nigeria and Tanzania in shared aspirations for continental growth and unity. The Vice President said this when he received former Tanzanian President Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Commending Tanzania's leadership legacy, Vice President Shettima said it is important to foster stronger economic and social ties between the two nations, especially within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Area. He also appreciated the Tanzanian government's support for Nigerian businesses in Tanzania, citing companies owned by Nigerians. Former President Kikwete, who was in Nigeria for the convocation ceremony at the National Defense College, expressed the readiness of Tanzania to strengthen business and diplomatic ties with Nigeria. He acknowledged the role of the Nigerian National Defense College in training Tanzanian military personnel. Expressing optimism for deeper ties in defense, trade and diplomacy, both leaders stressed the importance of revisiting outdated agreements and scaling up bilateral relations in the spirit of African solidarity. In an effort to cut down cost of Nigeria's participation in upcoming COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan from November 11th to 22nd, 2024, President Bola Tinubu has approved the cutting down of costs worth 10 billion naira and the establishment of Climate Accountability and Transparency Portal for Nigerians to have access to expenses that will be incurred during the meeting. Presidential spokesman Nigerian Galali, while briefing State House correspondents, said this is coming considering significant waste from the last meeting in Dubai.
That anyone who is attending this conference has an economic imperative to be at that conference, engaging with companies, multilateral partners and stakeholders who will attract finance and opportunity into the country for the benefit of our people.
An inter-ministerial committee to enforce the recent Supreme Court judgment granting final autonomy to local governments in the country has been inaugurated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume. A statement by Director of Information and Public Relations, Segun Imoyesen, says the SGF is the committee chairman, while key ministers are also on the committee along with representatives of state governors and local governments, among others. Their mandate, according to the statement, is to implement constitutional provision on recognition of local governments as the third tier of government. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mr. Dasa David as the new President Chief Executive Officer of the Digital Bridge Institute, DBI. Mr. David is an academic and industry expert with a deep understanding of digital technologies and educational leadership. The President has also approved the appointment of Mr. Ruben Osoma as Executive Director of Marketing, Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, NIGECOMSAT, and Mrs. Adama Kure, Executive Director of Finance and Administration, NIGECOMSAT. Mr. Osoma has extensive experience in communications, satellite marketing, and strategic business development, while Mr. Kure is a seasoned finance professional with a strong record in financial management and corporate governance. The President expects the newly appointed officers to bring their wealth of experience and expertise to bear in driving the strategic vision for these institutions. Dr. Kade Egbetokun is a paragon of integrity and professionalism, a police officer whose career has been marked by a steadfast commitment to duty with an unwavering resolve in the face of challenges. These were the words of President Bola Tinubu delivered by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, at a book presentation in honor of the IGP.
Your journey is a source of pride for all of us, and your contributions to our nation's peace and security will be remembered for generations to come.
The book will not only be a reference material, but it is also going to inspire the new generation of law enforcement officers in Nigeria.
And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Ademola and Victor after this commercial break. Please don't go away.